Welcome back to our channel, as we explore the latest and untold news on Catherine, Princess of Wales, and the British royal family. Today is packed with seismic news, as sources close to Kensington Palace confirm that Prince William has made an inescapable choice that ensures Meghan is shut out for good, leaving Harry reeling. On the 20th of January, at exactly 9:48 a.m. London time, the verdict was handed down, final and beyond appeal. With that, William amputated one branch of the royal family for good on that day behind the closed doors of the palace, born out of an existential crisis that tested the very foundations on which the British throne is held. It was not a question of healing the rift as much as sealing the wound shut, and ensuring that any danger was vanquished and dismissed once and for all. And the news was happening on grounds that went beyond internal family politics to question the stability itself of British governance and its ruling class. As shockwaves continue to reverberate through two continents, and accounts indicate a duchess was brought to tears, the world looks on in response to what prompted the future king to announce a statement from which there would be no return. Yet following various revelations holding the Duke and Duchess of Sussex accountable in a charity scandal, it has allegedly now prompted William to order Harry and Meghan out of Highgrove. A time has emerged to transcend gilded palace walls and hard stone, yet a time from which there is no return. As word came from Kensington Palace in its announcement, there was not a sound indicative of choice but a final announcement. This was not a conditional response and not a statement, it was a permanent process. The announcement has come as a thunderbolt to constitutional England and those concerned with the long and debilitating schism in the House of Windsor. Whether in London or Los Angeles, the usual morning chatter came to a halt. Social media lit up with shock, incredulity, and vindication. Eventually, confidants in close proximity to those associated with the Sussex family in California's exclusive neighborhood of Montecito would claim that Meghan Markle's reaction had been entirely one of shock. It is not the argument that has been met with shock, but the absolute conclusiveness of the language. This moment in royal history is a door closing with firm determination. The door hadn't just shut, it had been bolted, locked, and sealed, the chance of reopening gone for good. At this juncture, the ruler was no longer the brother, but the future king who sacrificed power itself. Every word of the announcement was imbued with the crystalline quality of sharp leadership, dictated by the sting of betrayal and the threat to the institution itself, in stark contrast to the ambiguity that has long characterized the reign of Queen Elizabeth II, the subtle arts of diplomacy, the masterful silences, until the arrival of the watchword, never complain, never explain. From the ruler, who shall henceforth be King William the emerged an entirely new form of monarchy, in an even more dangerous era. The monarchy shall no longer take blows, but will surgically amputate them itself. To fully understand the gravity of this moment, you need to rise above family drama and understand this for what it is. A calculated, strategic, irreversible decision made to preserve a thousand-year-old institution from what the palace came to perceive as a mortal threat. What fueled this decision wasn't created in a single incident the last day of last year. What drove this path all grew over a long period of tumult. By autumn of 2024, even the traditional measures of royal diplomacy were ineffective as tensions continued to rise, an escalating crisis of a slow burn to create a conclusion that was impossible to avoid. Even that tenuous diffetente built on civilized niceties and scripted public statements to a complete breakdown. This was a moment that was pregnant with great importance and significance, especially to Prince William. For some time, there was a cross-Atlantic tug of war over public perception and public narrative. This was a battle that Prince William had watched with increasing alarm, a fight that was having a very detrimental effect on his family and on a kingdom that was meant to be ruled by a man born into the role. But again, there was Catherine, a Princess of Wales. She was someone whom Prince William saw seeking to destroy public perception and public respect for his wife. For sure, a palace source has revealed details suggesting that Catherine, a co-guardian of a kingdom's future in her own right, was not moved by a constant attack on a perception of public stability and decorum. But with each step she took forward, there was a step back. This had become depressingly familiar. News would break, each report carrying an element of poison, little jabs designed to spark controversy and sow seeds of doubt. It spread rapidly, designed to coincide with royal retreats or interfere with charitable activities. It was never an accident, never an impulse. It was precise, polished, and strategically released. Those close to William described the chaos as anything but unplanned. To them, the latest controversy was an orchestrated psychological attack. It had all become much too orchestrated, much too repetitive to have been mere coincidence. Silence, once the monarchy's greatest ally, had become its biggest weakness. William began to realize that silence was no longer strength. To any adversary wanting to chip away at the crown, each day without resolution was victory itself. The bigger picture is that there are other strategic ramifications. Britain's allies and partners across the globe have an interest here. The power and influence of this monarchy, particularly on a global scale, are predicated on its perception of solidity and unwavering commitment to that. This public spat undermined this. This is no longer Britain's symbol of change and constance, but one of fractured family relationships. In this introspection, William contemplated his legacy. He understood that if he made one wrong move, that error could extend to future generations. He understood that his legacy was not based on his personal turbulence. His legacy, rather, was about his vision and judgment. The monarchy is greater than a family. It is a system that is foundational to Britain's government. Those people have to make sacrifices that many do not understand. Consequently, the move to act was far from impulsive. Instead, there had been a long, lonely time of quiet reflection. Previous attempts at healing and gradual adjustment had failed to materialize. This time around, there had to be a clear statement of position, a statement interpreted in no uncertain terms, with no room for misinterpretation or misapplication by critics seeking to sow doubt in other people's minds. William had concluded that a tougher route in dealing with the monarchy would be a worthwhile trade-off for a more promising future in the United Kingdom. Out of an autumn in 2024 characterized by decay, stress, and evolution had come the setting for making a decision to point the monarchy in a new direction. To truly comprehend the emotions behind the decision, it is necessary to go back more than 30 years to a moment of great trauma that shaped a young boy forever. Only then is the inner strength surrounding William's final decision truly understandable. His iron resolve goes back to the year 1995, when his mother Diana, Princess of Wales, agreed to be interviewed by the BBC's Martin Bashir for the current affairs television show Panorama. But as William had long suspected, Bashir had gained access to Princess Diana by deceit, manipulation, and use of forged documents. Now, an official inquiry has confirmed William's long-held suspicions. Bashir had used Princess Diana's innermost concerns to persuade her to reveal secrets in the television interview that hastened the breakup of the monarchy. William was depicted as being determined to expose the BBC for what he perceived to be its manipulation of the situation. He said the methods used to obtain the interview had profoundly affected what the princess had to say. In a just-released reaction to the hiring of Bashir by ABC's competitor network to interview Meghan Markle for the same network's current events show, he made a few assertions. He said the BBC's deceit had heavily influenced what his mother had to say. He emphasized the fact that the interview had played a large component in his parents' divorce and had harmed numerous other people. Most significantly, he said the interview had showcased the power a member of the royal family could wield to press the global media to an extent that besmirched the monarchy itself, a warning flag for the events that transpired many years thereafter. During the hiatus between him and his sister, in-law and brother, William recognized the same dynamics at work again, a member of the royal family using the press to voice problems with the monarchy. A pattern he'd observed many years ago during the period surrounding the BBC's press interview with Princess Diana, the event William blamed for the death of his mother. There is no denying the pattern was the same. A member of the royal family was using the press to raise problems with the monarchy and to pose a possible disagreement with its thematic storyline, a possible wound to the monarchy itself. To understand this more clearly, constitutional observers opined that while he was doing nothing short of moving away from how things have been, he was doing nothing less than rupturing history itself for good reason. Indeed, to say that the final act was put in to ensure that history did not raise its troublesome head again is not an exaggeration. And while William had been steadfast in protecting the crown and Catherine from the press and infighting, after seeing how the monarchy had failed to protect him and his late mother from both the press and infighting, William had been making an attempt to lay the ghosts from the past to rest. Indeed, for William, the moment had been akin to making some vow as he grew up to come to pass. There was nothing to hold the monarchy hostage to. It was not as if the message he issued was simply one to delineate where the boundaries should be drawn. But from that moment onwards, those inside were debating a Windsor War Council. Early in December, a small, tightly focused circle convened to meet the challenge head. With a pale winter sun, dappling Windsor Castle, a room inside its ancient walls, hosted a meeting that was no ordinary family gathering. It was, according to those close to events at the palace, a war council of a formal variety, charged with ratifying a decision that had long been in the offing. The room in question also holds a lot of symbolic weight, because Windsor is, of course, a castle, and in addition, a fortress, going so far as to qualify as a metaphorical place of final authority. Inside that room, however, were four men who jointly embodied the various stages of a monarchic journey: King Charles III, Princess Anne, stalwart upholder of tradition, Catherine soon to be queen consort, and William, heir apparent, chairing the meeting. William started with a statement that had been carefully and thoughtfully prepared. Each and every sentence was vetted and assessed to ensure there would be no chance for future litigation or public relations liabilities. William desired his declaration to be both constitutionally sound and emotionally crushing, with no chance for argument or dispute. He saw patience and appeasement and hopeful reconciliation as having only served their purpose. The more the doubt dragged on, the less credible was the monarchy and its capacity to rule. What was ahead was a malady that couldn't be nursed back into health. What was required was an urgent and surgical fix. Seated beside his son, King Charles felt the visible weight of a father's anguish. He was also a man under tremendous emotional stress himself. For years, His Majesty had striven to mend a growing divide between his two sons. Now, he was faced with a harsh reality. As a king, he was obliged to give his permission in a way that formalized a schism with his own offspring. His life, his own struggles with a public split from Diana, and his long road toward acceptance by society with his lover, Camilla, gave him a unique and poignant understanding of just how hurt and how harmed everyone in a public family dispute would be. His heart ached with a desire to mend a family divide, but was cognizant of a mind held captive by the sheer weight of monarchy. His approval was thus a reluctant concession to a road both necessary and very difficult. Princess Anne dealt with this situation in her typical manner, realistic, yet focused relentlessly on maintaining institution integrity. While known as a proponent of a tougher stance, Princess Anne has long cautioned against emotions dictating strategic decisions. Those close to this situation reveal that Princess Anne reminded this council that history has shown throughout various times powerful institutions that failed because of a lack of guts in decision-making, opting instead for compromises. The monarchy, Princess Anne cautioned, cannot look indecisive in this situation as a lack of decision. Making will in itself signify weakness. The backbone of a situation requires a leader to prioritize the institution's needs rather than worrying about generating a ruckus due to an individual. A sense of duty, akin to that of her deceased mother and father, Princess Anne offered a situation that framed this as a constitutional imperative rather than a squabble of a family, injecting backbone that this situation pragmatically needed. The part played by Catherine, however, was of huge import, though limited in words. She had long been the central force behind the push William now aimed to finish, and her seat on the council made her a key strategic partner in the monarchy's future. She could sense the human cost of the decision and brought real empathy to the table, yet she also demanded complete clarity. The silent, steady support she provided, honed through her own hard-won experiences, served as a linchpin to steady the council's collective resolve. After hours of grave and sobering discussion, they reached a unanimous verdict. An enforcement of separation would be enacted, complete, irreversible, and unbending. This wasn't a punishment, but a precautionary measure. That firm boundary would define the next two reigns, an act of institutional self-preservation in service of long-term stability. The consequence of William's choice goes far beyond one family's sorrow. It reaches into the future of the British monarchy and its position on the world stage. It was a calculated risk. In choosing decisive action over ambiguity, William unveiled a more forceful style of leadership, one that broke with tradition. Autumn reviews by judicial and diplomatic bodies reportedly identified restoring stability and public trust as the top goals, both of which had been badly shaken. International allies, including Washington and Ottawa, were said to be watching the turmoil closely, wary of broader repercussions. As head of the Commonwealth and a cornerstone of British soft power, the monarchy could not appear fractured. William's move told the world that the crown remained firm and resolute, even though the price tag was steep on a personal level. With the permanent divide stamped in place, two rival courts have effectively emerged: Britain's formal House of Windsor and the influential, media-savvy Sussex brand, rooted in California. These competing entities now stand in jarring contrast, setting up a world in which their opposing narratives may clash for years to come. Royal historians observe that no modern split of this scale has really been experienced. Though Edward VIII's abdication sent the Duke of Windsor into exile, this new division constitutes an era unto itself. The stage may be left to the Duke and Duchess of Sussex, yet they still have tremendous presence worldwide. Especially in the US, there may have been cozy implications that this act by William has resolved a particular internal squabble within the palace. Yet this act may have opened up far bigger external cans of worms than expected. The future of the monarchy hangs in the balance. It has been interpreted in some quarters that this is simply brilliant crisis management, cutting through dissent, disarray, and allowing the system to refocus on its constitutional purpose may have been the reason behind this drastic procedure. The message is crystal clear. Neither duty nor allegiance to the crown is up for debate. There may be some discipline that hasn't been witnessed in several decades that may actually enhance the monarchy from within, resulting in extended longevity. The establishment has demonstrated that it will relocate above any individual, even the king himself. Nevertheless, this may significantly dishearten many citizens, particularly younger generations, who may interpret this as cold, elitist, out of touch monarchy that is altogether unmoved by contemporary ideas of familial relationships. Would this future king parented cutting all ties with the brother in an everlasting manner be interpreted by many as corporate heartlessness rather than leadership? The monarchy has continuously been perceived as unifying authority, yet what appears to be strength may actually be interpreted as weakness. Has this essentially demonstrated that exclusion, rather than sympathizing or making concessions, has now become the leading approach in resolving differences? William appears to be gambling that the House of Windsor will have the capacity to thrive throughout the 21st century as an even clearer, defined entity. Thank you for reading. Share your thoughts in the comments, and farewell for now.